Hello and welcome to another edition of 9 to 5 Live. The European elections are kicking off in just a few days, and the results are going to be announced this Sunday, the 9th of June. What could be the consequences from the results of those elections? Francois, hello.
Hello,
Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
you're welcome.
What are the main concerns for the European economy, or the positives maybe, from the results of these elections?
It's going to be a very important election because we all know that the extreme right parties are going to gain. And this is something that is a major event in terms of their ability, maybe, to create some tension inside the European Union, specifically when it comes to the nomination of the future commission that will rule, quote unquote, Europe for the coming years. So I think that the issue that you need to have in mind is, are the extreme right party going to be able to block the building of a majority in the European Parliament? I don't think it's going to be the case. I think that they are going to be able to improve their standing, and there are a number of MPs in the Parliament, but they are not going to be able to make the construction, the building of a majority that is center right. They are not going to be able to do so, but they can, over time, block some issues. And on the economic side, there is a lot of challenges that are going to come for the European Commission and for the Parliament in the coming years.
Do you see the far-right parties hindering, therefore, the EPP, I think it is, Mrs. van der Leyen's party? Do you think they're going to hinder any projects that they have for the future of the European Union?
Yes, because they can act, and considering that maybe they are going to be closer to 90 members, 90 MPs in the Parliament, which is not a small amount, they have the ability to act on issues that they don't like. For example, the transition issue, where they are big opponents to some of the rulings by the European Union. There is also the immigration. Don't forget that immigration is an economic issue also. It's not only a matter of people moving into Europe, it's also a matter of the ability of European countries to have enough labor in order to sustain over the long term their growth. So yes, you have some issue that can appear to be regular or standard issue for the extreme right, but they have an economic consequences. So what will the impact? How will they act on the immigration will also have economic consequences. Moreover, don't forget one thing. Mrs. Van der Leyen, who is currently the head of the Commission, is facing an issue. You have some member countries in the European Union who are saying that Mrs. van der Leyen should be ousted maybe, and that she should be replaced by another commissioner, high commissioner. And you have some names circulating, and one big name is Mr. Draghi. We know that France is promoting the idea that Draghi should replace Mrs. van der Leyen.
Do you think there's any chance of the far-right parties being able to insist that one of their members forms part of the commission?
I don't think so. I don't think so. That I don't think that they will have enough power. They will increase their standing, but they are not going to be able in a position to, my point of view, to have to be in a situation to ask for something into the commission. I don't think so. But at the end of the day, what is very interesting, because your question relates also to the reaction of the regular parties, I would say, to the result of the election. Because you have two choices that are coming at the end of the day. There is an alternative. One is to say, okay, because of this, the showing of the extreme right, which is going to be on the rise, should we have a weaker commission or should we have a stronger commission? And that's a big alternative, and the results are not going to be the same. And I think that the best option for the Parliament and for the Commission is to go for a stronger Commission. People who are really going to move forward with some ideas that are essential for the European Union in the medium term and for the project. Over the last few weeks, you had some development. When Macron is speaking about the issue of making feasible for European banks from different countries to merge, he is in fact mentioning a key aspect of the European Union that is lacking, which is the ability to really reinforce the banking union. When he goes to Germany and speaks with Mr. Scholz about the idea of reinforcing the capital market in Europe, this is also something that is essential because you need to be able to compete with the US on the capital market front. Those are typically the kind of issues that the extreme right party would not agree with. So it depends. It's a key that the European Commission, the European Parliament, despite the fact that you will have a strong showing of extreme right, does not say we need to be weaker, we need to be stronger and move forward with some projects which are essential.
You know, in recent part, in fact, for quite a few decades now, the pollsters always have trouble estimating the results of the far right parties, and usually they underestimate the results that are achieved. That could be the case again this Sunday. Now, what are the economic consequences of a very strong showing from the far right parties?
I think that we all know that you can observe different things, let's say it this way. First, you have, as you mentioned, the issue of transition, ecology, and etc. Extreme right party are really against that. So this is one big issue, the transition, the climate change, all those kind of issues. On that front, it could be dangerous. And we all know that you have huge investments that are underway to support this development for the medium term. So economically, it will have an impact. As I mentioned, immigration is a key issue for the economy over the medium term. Then you have China. Don't forget that over the coming days, over the weekend, the Chinese have put some pressure on the European Union, saying that they are protectionist and that they are going to face consequences if they go. On that front too, the fact that you have a Europe that is united, it allows you to be stronger against China. If suddenly you get a Europe that is going to get weaker and you are going back to national boundaries, it can be very dangerous. It can support countries who try to have good relations with China on the economic front. You can mention Hungary, for example. So on that front too, the ability to have a common front to face the Chinese pressure is something that is essential. We are moving. The next commission is going to face a reality. The reality is the world is more confrontational in terms of economies between the Chinese and the US, and Europe is the third party in this system. Europe needs to be able to face the commercial war that is building between China and the US. That's something that is very important. And on that front, I don't think that the extreme right parties are going to be very helpful if they are stronger in the parliament. So you have different elements where they can have a significant impact on the economy, to my point of view.
You know, the European, especially you talk about the European economies and the US economy, for instance. I remember 20 years ago, the two economies were roughly the same size. And now the US is 30% bigger than the European economy. All of the technology, the innovation is really coming from America. It's not coming from Europe at all. So Europe is really, it has been lagging behind anyway for the last few decades. Are you saying that um, a win by the far right parties, or at least a better showing, could exacerbate that problem?
Yes, it could. It could, indeed, because the reality is that if you want, nobody can create national champion on his side. If you have the firepower of France, the firepower of Italy, it's not the same as having the firepower of Europe, as the European Union. If you want to build national champion, which is also one of the aim of the current coalition, and you had a lot of efforts over the last few years to try to promote these ideas, you are not going to be that on a national state level. You need to have a big Europe to build the capacity. Let's take the pharmaceutical companies. The fact that you want to have more molecules produced in Europe, it's not for France to produce all the molecules that we need. We need to have a reflection of who is going to be able to produce the molecule for X, for Y, for Z, in Germany, in France, and etc., with the support of the European Union. So yes, it's very, very important, and it's a key element in explaining that if the European Union gets weaker and weaker over the coming years, it's not going to make them able to fight the war between the two big economies that we have today.
Do you see the far right parties as being anti-globalization and hindering any attempts to create a European powerhouse?
They are anti-globalization. It's obvious because they are what they look at is mainly quote unquote the national interest of the different population, and I think that it would be dangerous. They have some point. I'm not saying that all their program is wrong and etc. You know, the fact there is a lot of discussion currently among economists about the ability of free trade agreements between countries or region really being able to promote a significant development of trade, which is essential down the road on a basis that is sustainable. I agree with that, but nevertheless, you cannot systematically say that you are against that kind of treaty, against the expansion of trade, creating new borders and etc., defending your own peasants and etc. I don't think that this is the way forward for Europe if they want to face the rivalry, the economic rivalry that we are going to have in the coming years.
Just lastly, what could be the effect of the right-wing parties insisting on measures against mass immigration into Europe?
I think that you have potential in terms of economic. It's the economic potential that will be affected because at the end of the day, you have a lot of work. You know, take the example, the French example, and in the discussion going into the election, there is one point that people need to remember. You have a lot of jobs that are offered currently in France that are not taken by French people. And immigration is something that could help in this regard. Look at what happened in Italy. In Italy, Mrs. Meloni was elected on a program in which she said that she would reduce immigration. But 2 years later, what does she do? She accepts that we need to have 400,000 migrants that are going to be regulated and that they are going to be able to be in Italy because they need them in the different area of the economy where the Italians do not take the job. So I think that the anti-immigration stand is not a positive for the economy in the medium term, and that it's going to impact the economic potential in particular.
Okay, Francois, thank you very much indeed. I think that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.